All eyes on Minneapolis as the nation braces for a verdict in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. Closing arguments are expected today, and then the jury will start deliberating while being sequestered. This follows nearly 3 weeks of witness and expert testimony. The former officer charged with killing George Floyd deciding not to testify in his own defense.
Your Honor, at this
it is a
time,
high-profile trial we have been closely watching. Joining me live this morning with some perspective and analysis, Atlanta attorney and president of the National Bar Association, CK Hoffler. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So I know that you have been closely watching this trial. Today is the day for closing arguments. What can we expect from both sides here? What do you think the goal will be for each side before they send the jury to deliberate?
Well, both sides are going to really take the opportunity to put together the pieces of the puzzle, because thus far we see the prosecution a lot of evidence proving that Derek Chauvin indeed killed, murdered George Floyd. And so because they had so many witnesses, the prosecution is going to have to take all of that information and just give the jury highlights, reminders of why, without a question, without a doubt, they should vote in favor of convicting Derek Chauvin. That's what the prosecution has to do, and that's what the prosecution will do. In terms of defense, because the defense just basically threw stuff at the wall, came up with alternate theories of how George Floyd died, they're going to focus on really Dr. Floyd. That's their main witness. And they're going to focus on all these other reasons. They're going to demonize George Floyd. You know, the fact that he was abusing drugs or using drugs right before the incident happened, the fact that he had medical conditions, a heart issue, and then this carbon monoxide thing that they raised. And I say thing because there was no evidence to support that, quite frankly. And so, but the defense is going to have to just give the jurors and focus on one or two jurors enough so that they will see there's reasonable doubt, or there could be another viable explanation of why George Floyd died, and it didn't have much to do with that knee at the neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. So for the prosecution, the best evidence is that video. They're going to remind the jury, trust your eyes. Look at this video, 9 minutes, 29 seconds. For the defense, just create that doubt.
CK, let's get into the carbon monoxide poisoning there that the defense is alleging came from the auto exhaust from the officer's vehicle there. That was dropped at the end of this trial here to the point where the prosecution was trying to present the blood work from George Floyd, proving that there wasn't enough carbon monoxide in his system to cause his death. That was not allowed, and then they brought the prosecution another witness to the stand to defend that was not a logical reasoning for his death. Do you think that's enough to cause some doubt in at least one juror's mind and perhaps lead to a hung jury here?
I don't think the carbon monoxide is enough for reasonable doubt. I think to the extent, and I don't agree with it, but to the extent that some reasonable doubt could be created, the defense is hoping, I think they're going to try to paint the picture of George Floyd being someone who brought this on himself because of his ingestion of drugs, of opioids, because of his medical condition. And I really don't think that's credible, but I think that's where they're headed. The carbon monoxide issue was not sufficiently developed. It could, because there was no evidence of where was the body in comparison to, were there studies done, what questions were asked, was that investigated? None of that was done. So literally it was just dropped out there without any predicate development. So I don't think that if a jury's really paying attention, they'll give credence to that. But again, they might think that George Floyd was just unruly because he had ingested drugs. He needed to be contained. And that all this is Derek Chauvin maybe using some excessive use of force, but not intending to kill him, not being so reckless, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, again, like I said, I don't think that the defense's arguments are credible, but it's not really what I think.
Yeah, it's
what those jurors are thinking. And all it does take is one jury, one juror to make a difference in this case, to get a hung jury. And I think that is the biggest concern of the prosecution.
Yeah, that's the key thing here, CK. 14 jurors, 2 alternates, 9 are women, 5 are men, 8 identify as white, 4 black. Last question for you, because we're short on time here. How long do you think the jury will deliberate?
I don't think the jury will deliberate for a long period of time. If they do deliberate for a long period of time, then I think it's problematic for the prosecution.
All right, spoken like the true attorney that you are. All right, CK Hoffler, the new president of the National Bar Association, based here in Atlanta. We appreciate your time this morning. And we will be streaming every minute of the trial online at 11alive.com and on the 11 Alive app, and continue to watch 11 Alive for the latest developments. NBC News will have a special report today beginning at 10 a.m. for those closing arguments. Chesley.